It's Dave Joe once again for Punch Out Boxing. Pleased to be joined by my good friend who's in the south of France at the moment, Jon Trethewey. How are you, mate? How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. As you can see behind me, I'm not in the Punch Out Boxing office, nor I'm at a gym or a presser today. I'm in an airport, mate. I'm in an airport, so more will be discovered about that. But yeah, all good on my end, mate. And yourself?
Yeah, really, really good. Lots to talk about. Lots of shows coming up. It's a big fight of the weekend that just happened. I'm sure you want to talk about that, but all good my end.
Good stuff. Well, I mean, a great place to start before we do anything is tribute to them pouring in for Rick Hatton, who sadly passed away on Sunday as a fan. As someone who's met him a handful of times, you know, it was shocking news, and I'm sure it was shocking news to everybody in the sport of boxing because no one had a bad thing to say about Ricky Hatton and his legacy, what he means to not just British boxing but world boxing in general. How did you take the news, John? And you know, because I know you were a massive Ricky Hatton fan before you got into the sport as well.
Yeah, really, really sad. A good place to start, to be fair, and a right thing to talk about. So I'll be honest, I was devastated, and I did have a tear or two. Um, you're right about what I thought about him. So in my entire time of loving boxing for, or I'm 45 now, so I've probably been watching and loving boxing since I was about 10. He is my favourite boxer of all time. Was he the best British boxer? Probably not. I'd reserve that for Lennox Lewis. You and I have debated that before. But was he amazing and was he a people person? Yes. Yeah, devastating news. I had the privilege of meeting him once, courtesy of yourself, because you brought me into the sport in the media side. So I was I'm sure I was at a Channel 5 show, and he had a fighter called Brett McGinty, and I met Ricky there. That would have been about 5 years ago. A really, really top fella, and I think he was more than just a boxer in terms of sport. You know, I've been speaking to people the last day or so about it. Obviously, passed away 2 days ago, and people who don't follow boxing are talking about it all the time. You know, football fans, etc. Uh, Really, really sad and thoughts with his family.
Yeah, and he will be missed as well. Not just for the sport, but everybody that I've spoken to as well. That's just had so many good memories of him. You know, whether it's from the boxing, whether it's even things like sharing a pint with him, to be fair, or playing as him on, you know, on computer games. So, you know, he will be missed, and thoughts go out to his family and his close friends. Moving on, on a on another note, no way to segue from this, but you've got two shows coming up, haven't you, John, back to back at the York Hall again? You've taken a leaf out of Marvel's book because I think the first one's called Avengers or Avenge. Do you want to talk to us about your double header next week?
Yeah, yeah. It's the first time we've ever done back-to-back nights. We've been trying to research it. I think it's the first time anyone's ever done back-to-back nights at York Hall. So quite groundbreaking, if you like. There's so many fighters that want to get out. We decided to do back-to-back nights. It's not easy. Firstly, logistically, you've got to pull it off. Secondly, no one makes money on these shows. Quite often, you lose money. So when you're doing two, you're a bit like, well, what's the bank balance going to look like? But we've managed to put on two very good cards. The Saturday night in particular, it's a real solid 50-50s. I would probably go as far as saying the last show we did was arguably the best I did. And I think this one will be better on the Saturday night. But the Friday night equally is good. We have called it Avenge 1 and Avenge 2, like you say. So a bit of a Marvel theme there. I thought you'd like that. Friday night we got Lerone Richards on there, which is really a good person to have on there headlining. Got some great talent on there as well. Jordan Flynn's on there, as well as some others. And then Saturday night, as I say, the 50-50s. I'm sure you'll pick or ask about any of the certain fights, but we're really looking forward to the weekend. And that's 2 weeks. That's less than 2 weeks now. It's Monday today, isn't it? So it's a week's Friday.
Yeah, so it's not long now. I mean, like that, which I'm really interested in. I mean, the whole card, both cards are absolutely stacked. Seeing the return of Lerone Richards as well, you know, former world champion, going to be fighting on one of your cards. I mean, you know, S-Jam guided his career. He's had some great nights, and having a former world champion on trying to regain that glory, that's a great step forward, isn't it, for the
Yeah, we got lots of things happening at the moment in the background. I can't talk about it on camera, but genuinely some really exciting things, hopefully, that are going to come. And hopefully that will enable us to get bigger fighters and bigger names on the shows. Lerone Richards, we nearly had him once or twice before, but for one reason or another, it fell through. It's not falling through this time. He's matched. He's medically cleared. There's no problem there. And you're right. And I'm a fan of the science of the sport, as you know, Dave. So like Mayweather was always my favourite fighter purely because of the style. I think Lerone Richards is a slick boxer, very, very good. Gone a long way. Probably lost his way a little bit, if I'm honest, and that's probably why he's back on our show. But we have a great relationship with SJAM, as you've mentioned, and they kind of reached out and said, "John, do you want to put him on?" I was like, "I've been honoured to have Lerone on, and we're really excited to have him on and see what he can produce."
I mean, look, you've got Archie Sharp on there as well. Formerly trained by Roy Jones Jr. At one point, Archie was ranked very highly in the WBO rankings. He was the number one ranked boxer in the WBO at that weight, and he's on your card as well. How's Archie been?
Yeah, we've had Archie on before, which again was an honour at the time. And I'd go as far, give him his flowers. Good phrase that. I learned that a couple of months ago. I like the phrase. He's probably the biggest name we've had on a show of ours in the past. I've got to be honest there. And to have him back on is a dream. He's recently gone into a new gym. So he's with Mark Tibbs, who's a good friend of mine and TM14. So Mark was like, look, he's in the gym. Do you want to get him out? He's coming off the back of a defeat. So probably just wants to get the ring rust off and see where he goes from there. And we expect big things from him going forward. But again, another great person to have on the show. Not quite matched yet because we only added him on a week or so ago. He's not easy to match. When you got the pot of money that Frank or Eddie would have, for example, on them big shows, they're going to pay what they've got to pay for it. But he's still the same fighter, so people still expect to be paid the same amount of money that he probably would on a Matchroom or a Queensbury show. So that's a challenge for us, but we'll get there. But no, it's great to have Archie back on our show. Arnie Dawson, yeah, against Marley Mason. Great fight that on the Saturday night. It doesn't headline, but it's arguably a headline fight. Arnie Dawson, I think he's 7-0 now. He's proper part of the family. Five of his 7 fights have been with us. Once was on a Frank Warren dinner show, and he's recently gone up north and won in the away corner. We took him to Texas, and he got a stoppage over there against an American, which, going in the American's backyard when we did that last year with Fight Zone and Dennis Hobson. Yeah, that's really hard thing to do. And then actually, he's then stopped someone up north recently as well. I think that was for a Commonwealth Youth title. Um, he's very, very underrated. I say it all the time, and he has a go at me, so I'll be careful what I say because he always says, "You say I'm like the nicest guy," but he is. He's a quiet guy, but he does his talking in the ring, and we expect another good performance from him. But he's going up against Marley Mason, and Marley Mason, his record doesn't give him justice. Marley is another close friend of ours and fought quite a lot of his fights on our show. I think in his second or third fight, he fought Jeff Afori. I was like, "Are you crazy?" And then you can go back and look at that fight and see how close that was. Takes any fight, Marley. He's a dream. You pick up the phone and you say to his team and him, "Do you want to take this fight?" "Yep, I'll take it." I could ask him to fight Mike Tyson, like I've said before, and he probably would take it. So what you get with Marley, you know what you get. He just turns up, he has a fight, and he'll stand and trade. So I expect this to be a very, very good fight. I think it's a step up for sure for Arnie, because whilst he's beaten those fighters I've just talked about, Marley is different level, but equally Marley's stepping up again because I think Arnie is a very, very top prospect. So look, let's see who wins it, but it will be a war, that is for sure. And if it lasts the 10 rounds, then great, but I'm not sure it will. I'm not sure who wins it. I think, again, sorry, the signal's poor. I think it's my fault. But Terence Crawford, I think you mentioned. So if you're asking about the fight on Saturday, I've got to be honest with you. He has to be, well, he's definitely in a pound for pound at the moment. And he's going to, for me now, he goes in that bracket around talking about him for years and years as one of the best. I already thought he was a pound for pound favourite at the moment. I felt that there were weight divisions for a reason. I don't think Canelo's on the slide. I think the last couple of fights it wasn't as good or explosive as before, but he's a big fella, and he rehydrates probably 20 odd pound after weighing. So I expected if he was going up 2 or 3 weights, whatever it was. So I think he won his first world title against Ricky Burns at maybe lightweight or super light. I remember going to Glasgow. I'm sure it was in Glasgow where he beat him. And at the time, I didn't know who he was. And I was like, fair play. So to go to Vegas on Mexican Independence weekend with the fans, the judges, everything there. And do you know what? I thought he might be able to outbox him because he should be able to. And he certainly did that. But he didn't just trade off the back foot and run around. When he stood there and traded, he looked a bigger guy. He looked stronger. He looked like if anyone was going to get a stoppage, it might have been him. It was never going to be a stoppage, of course, for either fighter. I knew that. But I was very, very impressed by Terence Crawford and going up the weights like he did to fight someone like that. I'm like, wow. So now for me, I mean, it's hard to argue that Usyk isn't the pound for pound champ. That's really hard, or Inouye. But I've got to be honest, that was very, very impressive. I think I got that you're asking what's next or what's left for him. It's really hard question. Does he come back down to people like Boots Ennis, who I think you mentioned? Or do you know what? He looks so strong at that weight and he's now gone up to that weight. When they do make that weight, sometimes it's hard to come back down. I wouldn't mind him fighting Hamza. You know, Hamza's obviously a good friend of yours. He's a good friend of your show. I say that and people might go, because there was talk about Hamza maybe fighting Canelo. You know, Hamza's got better as he's got older and he's gone up the weight. Still a young guy. He could do with a defining fight. Would he turn down fighting Crawford? No. Would Hamza be a challenge? It'd certainly be a different challenge than what Canelo would have been. You know, when he's there in the rankings. I'm not really sure who Crawford fights, because I think he beats anybody at any weight right now between that welterweight and that super middleweight, because he's proved it. If you go and beat Canelo at super middle in Vegas on Independence Weekend, as I mentioned, then I'm not sure who's going to beat him. But fair play to him, whoever he fights next. And do you know what? He hinted in the ring afterwards when they said that he might retire. He's not going to retire now. I heard rumours yesterday it was 100 or 150 million pound. Turkey Al Sheikh, obviously behind it, and there's money there. So will he get another 100 million pound payday if he's fighting someone? Probably. He'd be mad to turn it down on the back of a career-defining fight. But you know, some people just like to bow out at the right time, and maybe it is the right time for him. But it would only be the right time because there's no one else to challenge him, not because he looks sharp, because he's just put on the best performance of his career.
Yeah, I mean, uh, I'm honest. I was with you. I had it 1-1 Terence Crawford. I think there was any much controversy in the scoring. Sometimes for a fight like that, people debate the scorecards, don't saying, look, you know, I think they were that far off. To be fair, I think it, you know, 4-5 3. That was a bit, you know, a bit basic. Do you agree with that? Too close?
No, I didn't agree with the scorecard simply because I thought it was more of a schooling and more of a lesson than what it gave. But we obviously know so many people in the sport, and I was asking people on Fight Week because it was such a super fight or a mega fight. Every person I spoke to told me that Crawford would win. And I was the only one going, I don't know what you're all on about, but it shows what I know. I just felt that the bigger man would come through and I thought Canelo would win. And add that to the fact that it was in Vegas on that Independence weekend, I thought you're going to have to go out there and absolutely school him, because he wouldn't stop Canelo. He was never going to stop him. You'd have to school him in his own backyard to get that decision on points. And that's exactly what he did. I don't think it was 115, 113. I know you score it as you go along because I think you send it to me quite often. I probably had it, if I sat back and watched it, 116, 112, even 117, 111, something like that. The odd round might have been close and might have given it a 10 all, but it wasn't 115, 113. But at the end of the day, the right person won. All three judges scored it, the win for Crawford, which I didn't see anything online after or on Instagram or anything where they were questioning that it should have been Canelo winning, which tells you we know the right person won the fight. Whether the scorecards were right, that's debate, but at least the right man won.
Yeah. And the fine is, can you see your face at the peacock after you saying that Canelo? I mean, I thought it'll be Canelo split decision. Rashid Ra, as everyone, Terence Crawford, which is, you know, more experience at super mid. He's not. Can you show your face still, Dan and Martin?
Probably not, because on the Friday I was at the Peacock, and that's where I started questioning myself, because everybody said Crawford, and I was like, I sat with Martin, obviously owns the Peacock, runs the Peacock, and he was like, it's definitely Crawford, John. And I was like, what am I missing here? And I was like, no, no, no. And I know Denzel's a big fan of Crawford, and obviously we have the most respect for what he does with his career. And you're looking at these people thinking, well, they definitely know more than me. And then I'm like, nah, Canelo definitely wins. But yeah, I'll be a bit embarrassed when I go back in there for sure.
No problem, John. And mate, is that the looks like the sun's out in full force over in the south of France. Enjoy your trip, and we will catch you when you're back.
Cheers, mate. Speak soon.